everybody, welcome back to Dish and Tea with the show. So today, we are gonna go over. There was an Amber Alert that was put out last night, around 9 o'clock, in regards to Sharolen, um, Roque, Rogue. She went missing late last night. Um, she was found today, about maybe a couple of hours ago. Um, so yes. So again, the Amber Alert went out around 9:15 last night. So we're gonna go over it. Let me go ahead and share a screen. And by the way, welcome. Let me put my chats up because I always forget about my chats. And I'm sorry, guys. I'm just wanting to get the story out, kind of thing. Um, and no, this isn't tea today, guys. As always, up, pinkies up, as always. It isn't tea. It's actually, believe it or not, I know it's summer. It's actually hot cocoa with some marshmallows. You guys really want to see it. So, yes, I am drinking hot cocoa at almost 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And if I'm not mistaken, it's about almost 100 degrees here in Texas. It's maybe like 96 or something like that. I don't know. And it's not that bad because it's been in the hundreds degrees lately and whatever. I'm liking it. I'm loving it. Sound like a McDonald's commercial. I'm loving it. And I do not eat McDonald's anymore, guys. I do not. And it has nothing to do with the food. I'm sorry, I like hot chocolate. Let me put this on the screen because we are again Cheryl Lynn Roque when there was an Amber Alert that was sent out last night. I woke up to it this morning because apparently I didn't hear my phone last night. And I was supposed to be on last night. So I am sorry guys for not coming back on. But I am here now. And oh, that's from the I was like, why is my okay. So anywho, so this is her picture. Let me see if I can zoom in. Or not. Sharolen was last seen in the 2300 block of Hopper Road in Houston on 5/20/25 at 1 a.m. Sharolen left with a 20-year-old male identified as Mauricio Aaron Ramos. They are traveling in a black colored Mazda, unknown license plate, year, and model. Individuals with any information regarding whereabouts of this missing person, runaway, or are encouraged to contact the Harris County Sheriff's Office, Missing Persons Unit, or Crime Stoppers. Okay, so again, so let's go ahead and um read the original story because apparently again she was found today. Um I'm gonna go back to the original story. So the Texas Department of Public Safety has issued an Amber Alert for a missing teenager girl, 15-year-old Sharolen Roque. Sharolen had last been seen at 1 a.m. Tuesday near the 2300 block of Hopper Road in North Harris County, according to a 9:17 p.m. Wednesday update from Harris County Sheriff's Office. So she's actually that was Wednesday. So she's actually been missing to Tuesday. I think she actually left San Antonio, went to Houston or something like that. But we'll see. Um, then shortly before 11 p.m. Wednesday, the Texas Department of Public Safety activated an Amber Alert saying Sharolen was last seen at 11 a.m. Tuesday in Dallas. But shortly before noon Thursday, DPS updated the time saying it actually was at 4 a.m. rather than 11 a.m. That is a big difference. Just saying. 4 a.m. and 11 a.m. That's a what 7 hour difference? 6 hour difference? Seven? DPS updated the time again an hour later to say 4 p.m. Tuesday in Dallas. So it wasn't My God, could they get their time right? That is crazy. So this was a picture of the suspect that they were saying she was with Mauricio. This is what he looks like. So this was the gentleman she went with. And of course, they were giving us all dates. They didn't know. So Sharolen is 4 feet 9 inches tall and weighs about 110 pounds with black hair and brown eyes. According to the DPS alert, she allegedly was seen last with Luis Ramos Nunez, 20, who wanted who is wanted in connection with her disappearance. Oh, his name is Luis. I don't know. HCSO said the two may be traveling a black Mazda with unknown year and model. Authorities asked that anyone with tips of information regarding Sharolen's whereabouts contacts at Harris County. So they're just all over the place with this story. Let me see if I can get this story back up. Because then the update was. Oh, they didn't have the news on it? Okay. Sherilyn Roque has been found safe in Florida, and Luis Ramos Nunez has been detained for questioning in the girl's disappearance, according to the Harris County Sheriff's Office. And this was about 2 hours ago when this article was put out. So, not much detail on why she left or for whatever reason. So they basically updated it to runaway. So yeah, so she traveled pretty far. Where they were going, I'm not too sure. Um, I mean, she was last seen Tuesday. Again, there's not much information in regards to it. They pretty much are listing it as it says Sherilyn Rogue has now been found. The agency referred to the announcement as an endangered runaway. So she is obviously no longer missing. That's glad that she has been found and located and could get back to her parents. Again, she was 15. The guy is 20 years old. So I'm sure he's going to be in a little bit of trouble. So again, if you're here with me, welcome, welcome, welcome. So just glad that it just seems like after they put the Amber Alert, they were able to locate her. They did wait 2 days before issuing the Amber Alert. So I mean, she was able to make it from Texas all the way to Florida in those 2 days. So who would have known if they would have just waited any more longer? How where they would have ended up at? And I must say, hopefully this is the last day I will be um recording or being or going live from my closet. So there should not be all of this. Hopefully I won't have to have the background. If not, at least it won't be the little floral sheet anymore. Although I do like my purple flowers, all right? Nothing wrong with my purple flowers, guys. Um so yes, so again, I'm glad that they were able to locate her again. They did wait 2 days to issue the Amber Alert, and they were able to locate them after the Amber Alert within at least 12 hours. It doesn't say when exactly they were able to locate her. Like I said, this article was put out roughly about 2 hours ago. So, had to been sometime early, early in the morning, that she was located. So hopefully they will be able to take her back home safely to her family. Um, and as I was actually getting coming on to do this story, I did see um, this. It states at least 2 dead after plane crashes into San Diego military neighborhood. If y'all are not familiar with me, I was former military. I was stationed in San Diego, so this kind of is very alerting because trust me, San Diego does not get too much heat unless there's a reason for it. So it just says a small plane crashed into San Diego military neighborhood, killing multiple people and setting 15 homes on fire, San Diego officials said at news conference. So, yeah, this is just there's just been a lot of plane crashes lately. The one that was over there in Philly, the one that was right before Philly. What was it? Right, it was right next door, New York somewhere, I think, somewhere over there. Maybe it was closer to DC, but now we're having them on this side of the country. So, um, it is. Excuse me, it is crazy. So, a small plane crash, okay, killing 2 people and setting 15 homes afire. It was unclear what caused the plane to go down. And then it says San Diego officials were looking through the neighborhood to find the exact number of plane casualties. A small plane crashed into San Diego military neighborhood early Thursday morning, killing multiple people, setting 15 homes on fire, and spewing fuel and debris across the area. The plane crash killed at least 2 people, and there were at least 8 people injured who were on the ground, San Diego officials said at a news conference. The exact death count could rise, and it wasn't immediately known how many people were on the plane. Wow, let me put this up on the screen. This is get off my pop-ups. Pop-ups. But there what pays the bills. So come on, show us stream. Okay. So this is the aftermath of the plane crash. Let's do it like that. So you can tell it did a lot of damage. And I'm sure if y'all don't I think it's a Arc Grace of Arc Ministries. She's on my thing. I think I posted a couple of her videos too. I'm sure she'll do a video in regards to how it all goes well because she's one of those that very spiritual, so she connects everything to some type of biblical term and or biblical word from the Bible. So, I mean, it's actually somewhat interesting to hear from a different point of view on what's going on. I know she gives good insight as far as the biblical part of the aspect of what's going on in the world, the spiritual part of the aspect. So it's very interesting when people talk about that. 'Cause I'm like, I have no clue what's going on. But when you say like 9 plus 1 plus 3, okay, equals of 9/11, I'm like, oh, so everything's in cahoots, like break it down for me. But I'm sure she'll do a video. But yes, again, parked cars caught on fire when a small plane crashed in a military San Diego neighborhood, May 22nd, 2025. So this is what we know. Multiple deaths. There were more than one fatality, San Diego Assistant Fire Chief Dan Eddy said. For us too, it's important to find out how many people were on that plane. And they still don't have really much information, at least according to this article here. He said it was accurate to believe that there were multiple fatalities on the plane, though no one was seriously injured on the ground. Oh, didn't you pass away? I mean, I'm just saying. Yes, we're also looking for victims, Eddie said. The plane, a privately owned Cessna 550 aircraft, can carry between 6 and 8 people, but the FAA didn't immediately say how many people were on board. Okay, so you can carry up to 6 to 8 people, but you don't know how many people on board. Like, don't they have records of this, like in a book or something? Just saying. Don't they have to like check out, log, I don't know. I obviously is not a pilot, so Eddie said the plane was registered in the Midwest and had taken off from Colonel James Jabberall Airport in Wichita, Kansas. Didn't something else just happen in Wichita or Wichita? I don't know how you pronounce it. Wichita. I want to say Wichita, Kansas, but there's like I don't know. That name just sounds. Maybe I'm thinking of Twister. I don't know. So, according to FlightAware, a flight tracking database, the pilot crashed about 4 a.m. in the Murphy Canyon neighborhood where many people who are in the Navy and Marines live. So, please, please, everybody keep them in your prayers. All the military people in San Diego, they are going to be needing our assistance. Um, they do. Um, they do serve our country, so please keep them in mind and just kind of keep up to date. I'm not sure if anybody's doing any kind of donations or fundraisers for them, but definitely keep a lookout. We all want to pull together and support. Again, they do fight for our country, so we definitely want to fight for them. Um, so going on, about 100 people were displaced. Officials said the neighborhood is near the Montgomery Gibbs Executive Airport, a smaller airport on the north side of the city. Military neighborhood. This is one of the largest military housing units in the world, said Captain Bob Healy, commanding officer of the Naval Base San Diego. So they must be on 32nd. 32nd. Anyway, certainly we have a lot of military families that are impacted. Again, I want to send our condolences and thoughts and prayers to all of those impacted by this. Our foremost concern right now is to make sure that we have the safety of our families who reside in the neighborhood. Speaking at the news conference, Councilman Raul Campillo said that overall San Diego is home to one of the largest installments of U.S. military active service members and veterans. This particular neighborhood is home to about 2,300 military members and their families. Campillo said he's already heard stories of heroism where military family members were helping each other jump out of windows and avoid the fire. These are families and San Diego values we're proud of, he said, and we're going to continue to support these military families who are from all over the country but live right here in San Diego. Look at that. That picture is so bad. Those are huge fire extinguishers. Those are really big. Police inspected parked cars caught on fire when a small plane crashed in military San Diego neighborhood. Okay, so that's what they were doing. Big picture view. The neighborhood looked like a mini war zone. Fox 5 San Diego shared photos of one house that bore the brunt of the damage at Sculpin Street and Santos Road. At least 3 cars were seen burnt in the driveway, and the roof was partially collapsed. Plane debris was scattered on the streets. I can't quite put words to describe what the scene looks like, Police Chief Scott Rohal said, adding that about 100 people were displaced. With the jet fuel going down the street and everything on fire all at once, it was pretty horrific to say, oh my gosh. Like, you know how dangerous it is to have jet fuel, like, just running down the street like water? Like, this could have been a lot worse. It really could have. And this is the house that they were talking about. And when the plane crashed, Eddie said that every single car was burning down both sides of the streets. I bet. Oh, yeah, those are definitely military homes. And see, the thing with San Diego, since there's not enough room on spaces, their military homes are actually off base, so they actually get really nice military homes, unlike the ones that we have here at Lackland. I'm telling you, they are not. Um, so yeah, so they actually get real nice places out there. But anyway, um, and of course you're giving up all your allotment too. But anyway, um, so yeah, this is definitely I could just tell by the housing units. This is definitely military housing. What we don't know, it's also not clear what caused the plane to crash. The National Transportation Safety Board was called to investigate, and the FAA was expected to provide more information. I mean, you can't even tell us how many people are in the plane, let alone how the plane's gonna how the what was wrong with the plane. Just say. Sometimes I wonder about people. So this must be a piece of the plane. A piece of the plane debris was found in the resident neighborhood of the deadly plane crash. This is bad. Like, I wonder if this was like the car it landed on because, good Lord Jesus, that thing is smashed compared to everything else. Yeah, that had to been. This is crazy. So again, we definitely want to keep our military members in our prayers. They are they put over 100 people were misplaced, displaced out of their homes. So they are definitely going to need um, definitely good spiritual prayers to help them get through this. Of course, military family there, they do help out each other very well. I'm sure, you know, they got some hotels on base and things like that that they can stay at. In the meantime, I know I had to stay at some a couple, a few times, but then again, that is a lot of people, and they don't have like a massive, Donald Trump hotel. It's enough for when people come and they have family members that are going to come see them graduate, kind of thing, or whatever, visiting, whatever, they can stay on, on base with them in the hotel. But yeah, it's this is crazy. Let's see. Oh, you know what? Let's look at what the officials had to say. I didn't hear the. Come on, play. I hear my computer thinking. It's thinking if it wants to play or not. Let me do it that way. I just don't know because there's been a lot of plane crashes, and it's like you can't even tell us how many people, who, what, when, where, and why. Hey, I paused it. Oh, it's because it's playing from the okay, so let's. Okay, now I can probably share screen.
Spelling of my name is Robert, last name Logan, Logan. This morning at approximately 3:45, 3:47, we have reports of a plane down in the Murphy Canyon neighborhood. San Diego Fire quickly coordinated a response for a plane down incident, and our units responded and started to investigate. Upon arrival, they found multiple vehicles on fire, excuse me, and multiple homes on fire. Now I'll pass it to my Assistant Chief, Dan Eddy of Operations, who was here to give you more information.
Dan Eddy, San Diego Fire. So crews arrived on scene, the initial crews that found multiple houses and cars on fire. We had reports of a plane that had crashed in the neighborhood. It was unknown whether it was a military or private plane. When they got on scene, they initiated quick attack of the fire and upgraded this to what we call an Alert 5, which is a plane off the field, followed by a second alarm, so we had enough units on scene. We were able to work with San Diego PD, evacuate homes across the region as we came through here and evacuate everything to the south of us. We were able to knock down those fires. At this time right now, we are able to say that no one was transported from the scene. So we don't have anybody that was transported off the scene, which is great news for us on this one. Fire was knocked down. We do have one stubborn car fire that will not go out to the south of us. So if you do see little wisps of smoke behind there, that's what that's from. At this time, we're continuing to fight the fire on that car fire. Everything else is out from the homes down the way. We have multiple crews that will be on scene doing decon and investigating. FAA is also on scene, and we're working in conjunction with them and San Diego PD to ensure that everything is searched, including the homes and everything that is involved with the planes itself. We expect to be out here for 4 to 6 hours at least, doing the investigation part of it until we pass it along. And then moving forward, we'll probably be here through the rest of the 24-hour period. I'm going to pass it off to Police Chief Scott Wall.
Good morning. Families that are impacted by this terrible incident. From the police department side, our objectives were very simple: scene control, traffic control, and evacuations. We had officers from throughout the city that responded. We had over 50 officers that were able to get here within minutes. We started evacuating all of the homes that were impacted. We had an evacuation center up at Miller Elementary. We have close to 100 people walked all the streets down. Essentially, Santo Road south of Arrow is still closed and will be for the next few hours and on into the day. And we're going to continue working collaboratively. I want to commend all of the first responders that were out here this morning: the fire department, the police department. Looks like, but with the jet fuel going down the street and everything on fire all at once, it was pretty horrific to see. For the police officers and firefighters to run in there, start trying to evacuate people out of the way and doing anything and everything they could to try to save somebody's life is really heroic. And again, I'm going to end with saying heartfelt condolences to the families that were impacted by this. And with that, let me introduce Mayor Todd Gloria.
Chief. I also want to extend the condolences of the City of San Diego to the passengers aboard the plane's families, as well as those that are impacted here on the ground. We will be continuing to keep you all posted throughout the day as more information becomes available. But what I can tell you right now is that we have had an extraordinary response effort here, led by the San Diego Fire Rescue Department, the San Diego Police Department. But what you've seen is a collaborative effort with county, state, and federal partners, as well as our partners in the community. We have representation here from the Red Cross, the San Diego Humane Society, and other key partners that are making sure that those who are impacted here on the ground have the support they need. And that's what I want to say is that our city will be supporting these families who are impacted here. They're a part of the military community that makes up our city, the proud partners of our community. And we will support them for as long as it takes to make sure that we get back to good here in Tierra Sana. Appreciate the early communication from Navy Region Southwest, Admiral Brad Rosen, who's an extraordinary partner for our city. I also want to note Councilmember Raul Campillo is monitoring the situation very, very closely. He'll be out here later today. But we're all going to be band together and make sure that the situation is buttoned up. Again, extraordinary effort by our first responders. I can't emphasize that enough. The limitation in terms of the additional damage on the ground is a direct result of their hard work, of their expertise, of their professionalism. And I think every San Diegan expresses our appreciation to these heroes who got the job done this morning. It's still a tragedy, and again, our hearts are with those who are impacted. We'll continue to be here throughout this response effort and make sure, again, the families who are impacted, those who are not able to access their homes, are well supported until they're able to get back into their homes. That said, as I mentioned, this has been a collaborative effort. We are on military property. These are military families, military housing, and here on behalf of Navy Region Southwest is the commanding officer for Naval Base San Diego, Captain Bob Healy. Captain Healy.
Good morning, Captain Bob Healy, and as the mayor mentioned, I am the commanding officer of Naval Base San Diego with oversight of this area here in Murphy Canyon. This is one of the largest military housing units in the world. Certainly we have a lot of military families that are impacted. Again, want to send our condolences and thoughts and prayers to all of those impacted by this. Our foremost concern right now is to make sure that we have the safety of our families who reside in the neighborhood behind us. We are doing that down the street at Miller Elementary, and we really appreciate the local cooperative efforts to make sure that our military families are taken care of. So that'll be primary going forward, and again, our thoughts and prayers go out to everyone. So thank you very much.
A point of preliminary casualty count for fire. You stated that there have been just those on the plane, or has it just not been a full sweep yet?
No, we've done a full sweep. We're doing what's called a fob. So we go in between and we're looking at everything down the airport that we have here. There's a possible debris field all the way back behind us, all the way into here. So we're going to make sure and we do a step-by-step process of going through the housing units that we have down here. No one was transported out of the housing units. That's where I say we were lucky in that fact that no one was transported from the scene from any of the housing units. All the fatalities right now look to be that they're from the plane. We're working with the FAA right now to find out how many actual people were registered on that plane. We'll have more information for that here shortly when we get those numbers. But everything that's a fatality right now appears to be from the plane itself.
Can you tell us how many? Is it more than one fatality?
Yes, there are more than one fatality that we've found so far, but we're waiting to get the registered numbers that were on the plane itself.
Two things do. Was it commercial? What kind of plane?
It was a private plane. So a private plane, and it was registered out of the Mid-Zone.
And how many people was it able to carry?
The plane itself, I believe, holds 8 to 10 people with the pilot included, but at this time we don't know how many people were actually registered on the plane.
Any communication from the pilot?
We don't have anything on the communication from the pilot.
Was the Montgomery Tower open at the time, overnight?
I believe so, but that's something that the FAA can answer for you. I don't know on that one. On the fire side, I don't know.
But we know of no communication last minute from the pilot of the plane.
I don't have any communication from the FAA on that one. If the house is over here.
Are we going to be able to hear from somebody with the FAA?
Yeah, later on we'll have somebody that'll come with the FAA. We wanted to come right now and give you the best information that we could at the start here, and then we'll get someone over here to give you more information.
Updated numbers on damaged homes?
At this time right now, that's what we're doing the fob and walking through on it. I can tell you that there are multiple homes, upwards of 10 homes that are affected. Also, when it hit the street, as the jet fuel went down, it took out every single car that was on both sides of the street on fire. Every single car was burning down both sides of the street. And so that's something that we're gonna have to look at too. That's why you have the wisps of smoke, because we have one car fire that just will not go out no matter what we put on it right now.
Any homes destroyed?
There is multiple homes that are destroyed, yes. So
I had a question because I was down there at the scene and you saw the one on the corner with a collapsed roof. Is that the most significant?
that's the most significant impacted house, is the one on the far east side of that street. That's the most impacted. We are doing that while also looking for parts of that plane, because it'll be part of the investigation as we go through, right? And then we're also looking for victims.
You say no one was transported from the homes,
Yeah.
Miraculously.
Yes.
Is it possible some of those, and I know this is very early,
Yeah.
were vacant?
It could be that homes are vacant, but at the same time too, our fires crews did a phenomenal job of doing primary and secondary searches. The way that works for us is we have one crew search the entire home, a secondary crew comes in after them, searches it again. Now that we've had daylight, we're also flying our UAS, which is our drone. So our drone is getting flown overhead too to make sure that there's no damage on top of these homes or anyone there either.
Have any of the residents been able to tell you how in the world they survived in terms of your people?
I believe that some of our people ran into residents when they were coming out. I don't have any of the updates on that.
Was it headed to Montgomery Field?
It looked like it was heading in Montgomery Field. Yes, if you look, you saw the plane come overhead was heading in that same direction.
And the plane said normal?
I don't know on that one. On that I'm unsure on that.
When you say Midwest,
Yeah.
that's about all you have?
That's what we have right now. We'll have more information from the FAA on that once we get it. And for us too, it's very important for us to find out how many people were on that plane.
NTSB, have they talked to you and we're on our way from somewhere?
Yes, NTSB is en route also to do the investigation.
Do you know where they're from?
No, I don't.
And you know when they'll arrive?
Hopefully soon. I do not have an arrival time. As soon as we get that to you, we'll get it passed across from our PIO.
Was it all military housing that was affected?
Yeah, so everything behind us here is all military housing. To the south end of Arrow Road that you see is all military housing around it. We're standing on military housing ground here right now. So it was all military housing that was affected.
And when you talk about the debris field, like how can you kind of describe like how big of a debris field are we talking about?
So we're talking about the debris field all the way back to the power lines that you see behind you. So that's where we're investigating from there, trying to keep that area back.
You say power lines.
Yeah.
Possibly, I know you don't want to speculate without the FAA or NTSB, but there's a debris field from power lines that are nearby.
Yeah.
Can you be more specific?
So as you can see behind, there's a clipped power line behind us back there. We're trying to figure out if that was involved from the plane. That's something that they'll be investigating also. I don't have the exact numbers as to if it did hit it or not.
The nature of the debris below the power line would indicate?
That's what we're looking at right now.
know
That's where
what
we're
kind of
sending.
debris are we
No, that's
talking
why we're sending our second FOB crew to see if it does affect it or not. Our first main concern was the houses behind us to ensure that those were there. So our first crews went through and searched that. We're now moving our crews over to that debris field behind there with the FAA to work on it.
With a power line clip, do we know about outages right now?
So right now, luckily, we have no outages that have been hit. SDG&E has done a great job giving us updates and ensuring that everything is running well. As the day goes on that, if there is any power affected.
I know San Diego Humane Society is here. We've seen a number of animals carted out of the neighborhood. Can you tell us anything about those animals?
I don't have a number of animals. I can get that to you, absolutely.
Do you know if they were hurt or if they're...
I don't have that either. My main focus was trying to ensure that we had all the people out of there first, but I can get you all those numbers here shortly.
Do you know whether EMTs were treating people there? We were over at a self-evacuation center, and there were people with burned feet, for example, just trying to get out of their homes. Yeah. Did you have people on the scene actually treating people?
Yes, we had people on the scene treating people. Nobody was actually transported. The people that were over at your scene were brought back to the scene, treated. They were not transported to the hospital. They decided to sign out. Any other questions?
I think maybe for Captain Healy, what sort of services are available for the folks that are impacted back there?
Yeah, certainly we've had a community-wide effort to really bring a lot of services we need. I know the USO, the emergency services for the city is, and I've also and find ways they can connect with our families. So we're using Miller Elementary as that staging ground right now, and certainly there's a lot of things that we're going to have to look at moving forward for families to rebuild, their lives and their homes and things like that.
Anything that somebody wants to do to help, who can they coordinate with?
You can coordinate with the base, Naval Base San Diego Public Affairs, and we'll take it from there.
And how are the evacuated families coping right now?
They're coping well. Certainly they're shocked, and to wake up to this, so certainly we're going to be by their side to make sure that they're properly cared for, as anyone would expect, and really appreciate the community-wide effort to support us in that endeavor.
I don't know if you can talk to this, but we've talked to some of the military folks who live in the neighborhood, and they really jumped into action with their neighbors. Probably a lot of their military training could have really helped out in a situation like this.
Yeah. Well, like the gentleman standing behind me, I mean, we're trained to act, in crisis mode. So many of the sailors, Marines, and others that you saw really, stepped in and took action and got the families out. And certainly the first responders jumped on the scene very quickly to support us. So it's team effort.
Captain, as the day goes along, is it possible there could be another evacuation center beyond Miller? or is that the official one right now? And we think we're
At
pretty
this point,
comfortable with
at
that?
this point, that's going to be the only one at this point, sir.
I had one quick question just to clarify on the fatalities, and I know that's just you're looking at the planes, but is it accurate to say you believe that multiple people?
It's accurate that multiple people believe we have multiple fatalities. From what we've found so far on scene, we do believe we have multiple fatalities, but we're going to have to go through and take our time and ensure that exactly what we have.
Okay, guys, thank you for being out here and helping us get information out. We'll try to have another briefing before 11 o'clock.
So, yes, again, that is San Diego's military, one of San Diego's military um, housing area. Again, as I stated before, California, San Diego doesn't have on base housing like most places, just for the fact that they're close to the water. Hey, Temper, welcome, welcome. No problem, no problem. I'm sure I'll see you later. I'm sure I'll see you later. Um, but yes, so again, military housing is not directly on base like most military housing is. At least not in San Diego. They're so close to the water. Their military bases are a little bit more smaller. So a lot of they have like sections like in out in the community where they have like little subdivisions sectioned off just for for military personnel that they rent to. Um, so that's how that works. So when he said that all that area is military housing, all that area that they have like their own little subdivision of housing area. So they have little sections here and there, and they're basically like townhomes and things like that. Sometimes you can't find apartments. It's just certain communities like they just happen to have like be contracted with the military. But since they cannot live on base unless they're barracks, they don't have family housing for military like that. So they're off base, but they're considered on base, I guess, if you want to look at it like that. So again, prayers, prayers. Just keep all the military services in your prayers tonight, especially from San Diego. That was a that was a crazy plane crash. We did see the pictures, and that is. I can only imagine waking up at 4 o'clock in the morning with just a gush of fire, just flames everywhere. You know, I'm sure it was chaotic. Um, there is one other story I do want to share with you. It was a story I wanted to do a while back ago. It's just, stories constantly come and come and come. So trying to keep up with every story and things like that is very, very hard. But I'm glad I kind of waited a little bit because now I was able to gather a lot of information from it. So let me switch. Let me close this out and bring up my other ones. They're around here somewhere. Da-da. Oh, that's where they're at. Okay. Um, it is about a 6-year-old case. It's an abuse case. So again, if you're not familiar with Vivid Lifestyles VVLS, hi. What my organization does, we help heal the wound of abuse. So we help out any person, adult, minor, female, male, that is or has been or currently is in an abusive relationship or an abusive situation. I shouldn't say relationship situation, and we try to get them the necessary help that they're needed to get out of that situation and to make sure everybody is safe. So this case kind of falls in with that. And why did it go to that? I have no clue. So let me see. There's two things, and this is in regards to Christopher Gregor. He was a 6-year-old boy that was pretty much unalived by his dad. Um, and we will see the video, and then we will see the mom, um, Corey, which is Chris's mom, Corey. I'm getting confused. No, the little boy's name was Corey. Christopher's the dad, and the mom's name is Brianna. Okay, why did I think the mom's name was Corey? Sorry. I'm like, but then again, you never know nowadays. So Brianna um gets on the stand, and she she lays into good. She hates him, she wishes she never met him kind of thing. So it's really heartfelt. We will listen to her letter of to the judge. So yeah, we're definitely gonna go there. But I definitely want you to watch the video of the dad doing what he did. If I can find it now. And watch, now that I want to play it, I'm not gonna be able to find it. Mm, because this is the mom. It should have been right here somewhere. Let's see. Christopher Gregor. Okay. Oh no, did they take off the video? No. Let's go here because I know it's under. I will eventually get to it. I don't know why now all of a sudden, like I watched this so many, not watched this so many times, but I kept playing it so that way it would go back to the top of the list, and like for some reason now it's not there. Um, okay, right here. So let me bring it up, and then I'll. Why won't it bring up? I just want the one with the video. Okay, it's this one. Okay, warning, warning, guys. Trigger warning, trigger warning. Again, let me quickly state this. Trigger warning. Under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976, allowance is made for fair use for purpose such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarships, and research. Again, fair use is a use permitted by copyright statutes that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use. All people are presumed innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. And I am expressing my First Amendment right. Again, this is going to be a trigger warning. This video is going to be a trigger warning for those who have is really sensitive to abusive situations or topics or stories or cases. Okay, this is going to be a video. This is going to be a video of the treadmill abuse from Christopher Gregor to his son Corey Mikolo. Oh, I'm bad with names, guys. But yes, um, this was a case I did want to report at the time, and that was weird. Okay. Um, but it was still in court. It was things, so I just waited, and so here we are. This he finally had his sentencing about 9 months ago. So we already know the outcome of the case and everything. So, but I did want to like again. This is why we need stricter laws, and um, it seemed. I mean, mom and dad were going through a custody battle and things like that. So it was one already a difficult situation to be in. As for for Corey, for a 6-year old, and at that time, being separated, mom and dad no longer living together, whatever, kids take that pretty hard. So, and then for your dad to go and treat you the way he did. So let's look at this video because this is just really, really bad. And remind you, like I said, the case has already been settled and everything. He ended up receiving, I believe, 25 years. I think it was like 5 years for one thing, um, 5 years for one, and 20 years for another charge for the two charges. And then I think he was going to serve consecutive, if I'm not mistaken, not concurrent. And he was supposed to serve the 5-1 first, and then the 20 years, and so on and so forth. So, but we are going to listen to see what the video, and then we're going to listen to the mom's letter to the judge in regards to Corey's dad Christopher, and some of the things she has to say had to say to him, which I absolutely give her major props because that was absolutely a hard thing to do. Because yeah. So again, trigger warning, this video can be extremely, extremely triggering. Again, it's very sad. So if you see me with a tear coming down my eye, I apologize now, but it is okay because this is a very, very horrific thing that had happened to this little boy. And again, anybody who does this to a kid should never should even be allowed out of prison this time after whatever, it's giving him 20 years and 5 years and whatnot. um I mean, I know in this case he is already, the dad's what, 40 something years old, so he'll be what, 60, 50 to 60 years old when he's able to be up for parole or whatever. So let's see, let's get into it. Again, let me see if I can make this bigger. Okay, so yeah, that's crazy. First of all, that kid was running for a while before he flew off the first time. Like, I can I could do that little kid some props. He could have gone places with that. Like, are you serious? Like for him to run as much as he did in the amount of time and still keep pace, it didn't seem like he was really that all that like out of breath, but still like his poor little legs couldn't keep up with as fast as his dad was sitting it. But like he could have been a runner in the future. Like, oh my goodness. So let's go to his mom's um what his mom had to say about this. The little boy's mom. Let's see. Tell me, Gwelly. And this is about 12 minutes. So we are going to watch this. I just think that it was so sad that he had to do that to his little boy. Like, what did this little boy do to you for you to run him on a treadmill? And then poor thing, like, and then sticks him back on the first time. At least he assisted him the first time, but then he goes and he doesn't even help him the second time. Like, he just watches his son just go down the treadmill, down the treadmill, down the treadmill. Like, let me see you go down the treadmill, down the treadmill, down the treadmill. You know, the bigger they are, the harder they fall, right? Down the treadmill, you would have gone. I would have tripped you. I'm sorry. You just bringing the ugly out of me, dude. But let's see what the Corey's mother basically takes the stand, or this is where they're reading their, how everybody steps up, says their words, and you know for the judge to take into consideration before sentencing. So this is just her expressing herself. So let's just, and again, trigger warning, trigger warning. This is very sad. Again, she does admit to certain things in here, but this does not make her any worse of a mother. You know, I'm not. She's a bad mother. She never was, but I'm just saying this does not make her a bad mom. We all had our past, and people do, grow up and they do change. And I think what makes it even more difficult is that he was older at the time when they first met, so it was basically, she was a minor. She was a kid when this adult took advantage of her, basically. So I'm, you know, like, it's so unfortunate that that has a statute of limitations, but um, obviously. So let's just get into it, and let's hear what she has to say. Again, trigger warning. It is very sad. She does touch on some of the the abuse that she saw in the video, and some other stuff that it's not in the video, but I'm sure was in court testimonies and um, things like that. So let's go ahead and get into it.
Brianna Mitchell, and I appear before you today not only as a grieving mother, but also an advocate for justice. On behalf of my son Corey, I stand here before you to plead for justice that Corey rightfully deserves, and to press for the maximum sentence of Christopher Greger, whose actions have inflicted irreparable harm in our lives. For you to fully understand the gravity of the situation, I will flash back to the July of 2013. This day marks the beginning of a traumatic journey defined by manipulation, abuse, and ultimately an unspeakable loss. At 16, I first met the defendant, who was 21 at the time. He proceeded to feed me drugs, alcohol, and took complete advantage of me, which led to...
I think I'm gonna start cutting carbs. I need to drop my belly fat.
Here's the most interesting weight loss fact I learned in the last decade.
...to the conception of Corey. From day one of my pregnancy, I knew I would keep Corey regardless of the way he was conceived. Corey didn't have to be brought into this world, and I knew I owed it to him to bring him into this world with unconditional love. Corey was and still is my life, my world, and my everything. I would also like to speak about my past, which I am not 100% proud of. You heard a lot about it throughout the trial, and so did a lot of the world. It was very upsetting for that to come out because I've worked extremely hard for many years to be where I am today. I admit I abused drugs, but during the trial it was made out that for some reason my son deserved to be killed because his mom was a drug addict. That is absolutely disgusting. I stand here today, clean and sober, and I know Corey would be so proud of me. Unfortunately, my son is no longer here to tell his story, so I'm here to be his voice and tell his story along with all the others sitting in the gallery who have continued to stand by me. Not once have you seen the defendant shed a tear for Corey in the last 3.5 years since he killed him. And today was fake. I don't believe a word he said, and I don't accept any apologies. He has no remorse for any of the actions he committed. And his only remorse, like you saw today, was for himself because he got caught and convicted. Another reason I could think of is, everything he had done to Corey was done out of spite towards me. Another reason I could think of is he's sick in the head and used Corey as his punching bag. On April 2nd of 2021, it was not the first time that he abused Corey, but it was the last time. He never had an ounce of love for Corey. And to the defendant, Corey was just an inconvenience in his life. He never hugged him. He never praised him. He never told him he was proud of him or that he did a good job. He punished Corey every chance that he could get, and I cannot even begin to imagine what my son dealt with behind closed doors with this man. On April 2nd of 2021, I hesitantly dropped Corey off at the defendant's home, which is a mistake that will haunt me for the rest of my life. I kissed my son goodbye unknowingly for the last time. I wish I knew what was going to happen and I would never let him go. At 3 p.m. the same day, I received a phone call from the defendant where he stated Corey was very sick and he was taking him to the hospital, and then hung up on me after he asked for my insurance card. As an extremely concerned mother, I called him back with no answer and continued to do so along with texts for hours to find out where Corey was and what was going on. For those few hours, my mother and I called every hospital in the area with no luck. The very last hospital finally said he was there. Then there was a knock on the door. It was our local police there to tell me Corey had passed away. My healthy 6-year-old boy who was just alive and well with me a few hours ago is dead. My heart dropped and my whole body collapsed from the shock that took over my whole body. I was unable to breathe. My mind was racing, and I felt like I was no longer inside my body. All I remember is screaming that they had the wrong child because Corey was fine this morning. I actually convinced myself that it wasn't him, and they had the wrong kid for a while. My next question was, where is Chris? I needed to know what happened, and he was nowhere to be found until the next day, when I found out he was in Tennessee. No one was able to tell me what happened to Corey except Corey died at the hospital. I couldn't even see my son until a week later at his funeral because his body was evidence. The defendant took away my chance to say goodbye to Corey while he was passing away, and not once did he pick up the phone he was using to converse with many of his girlfriends, to call 911, to seek medical attention, which could have potentially saved Corey's life. Instead, he allowed Corey to suffer silently for hours. Once he realized how bad it was, He threw him in the car, then proceeded to drive 15 minutes to the hospital. He slowly walked Corey into the hospital with no sense of urgency, even when he knew how bad his condition was. I fully believe that if we took Corey to the hospital as soon as he received the lethal blow, he could still be here today. There were many steps he could have taken to save my son's life. Instead, he sat home and let Corey slowly die for hours. Every day since April 2nd has been an absolute living nightmare, and it is now the new reality for me to replay Corey's horrific death repeatedly in my head. It's the first thing I think about when I wake up in the morning, and the last thing I think about before I fall asleep at night. I dread normal conversation with people, because I always get asked, how many kids do you have? I say 2, and they follow up asking how old are they. That's when the grief sinks in, and I have to tell them my 6-year-old was killed by his father. It is such an indescribable feeling. When I found out I was pregnant with my daughter, a sense of guilt was all I could feel. I wanted more kids, but how do I love another child? Is it fair to Corey? That is all I could think about. Now I know this is not true, and I love my daughter with all my heart, but I always will feel an emptiness, no matter how many children I have. My new reality is explaining to my daughter what happened to her big brother and why is he not here. I live in fear every day, every second of the day, that something will happen to my daughter, and I will lose her too. It's a horrible feeling, and it causes me such bad anxiety. I take her to the cemetery to see Corey every weekend, and at 1.5 years old, she knows where Corey is, buried. It is every week. It is heartbreaking. She sits and plays with the cars and toys we left there for him. I live in a nightmare, and I would never wish this feeling or how I must live on my worst enemy. Throughout everything he did to Corey, Corey still loved him. He looked up to you, and he still wanted to be, I'm sorry. And he still wanted him to be like a real father who treated him like a son. Instead of being a good role model for Corey, he decided to beat him to death. Why? Were you jealous of him? Did you hate me so much that you took it out on Corey? Were you abused as a child? Not that that's a good excuse, because you could have overcome it and became the protector he needed as a child, but instead you became a killer. There was no amount of love in his actions, and only a disturbing amount of hate. It seems like he hated Corey simply because I loved him, and he felt deprived of that love. He couldn't even control himself for long, because after the first visit with my son, he started abusing him. My son didn't even know him, and he was beating him. He was abusing him from the first time. I thank God. I hate you for not letting me say goodbye to my son, but I thank God your face is not the last one he saw. I'm sorry. What this monster did was pathetic, disgusting, and I wish him nothing but the worst. One could only hope that karma comes to him quickly. After all he's done, you would hope he'd admit what he's done, but no. Instead of grieving, I had to fight for justice for 3 long years. Go to trial just to relive everything. I had to see that video that I never wanted to see. I didn't have to see it until 2 weeks before this trial. I went 3 years without seeing it. Oh, I'm sorry. Just for you to be found guilty anyway. What was the point of that? Just to make it worse for us? Are you that crazy that you convinced yourself you didn't do this? I hate you. I will never forgive you. And I'm going to skip that one. You have stolen my full potential at happiness. And I will never have my son back. My family will never feel whole again. My daughter will never get to meet her brother. And my boyfriend will never get to be the father that the defendant should have been to our son. He took my whole world away from me. He has shown and proven to be that special kind of dirtbag he claimed I was. Your Honor, all this monster had to do was say he did not want to be a father. No one would have made him. I would have happily continued to raise my son alone with the help of my family. He had many opportunities not to do this to him. He is in this current situation due to his own actions, and every day he will have to live with this. He deserves nothing less than to experience the pain, suffering, and isolation that he inflicted on Corey. I hope that every moment he spends in prison is haunted by the torment of knowing he killed my child. I fear when Christopher Gregor gets out of jail, whenever that is, he will come after my family and I again. I fear for our lives. His twisted mind truly thinks that I caused all this and that he's in jail because of me, even though he's here because he killed him. I truly believe if he ever gets out and gets the opportunity, he will kill me. Your Honor, his friends, playing sports and enjoying his life. Instead, he will never experience finding his first girlfriend, graduating high school, falling in love, driving a car, getting married, or having kids. Christopher robbed him of his entire future, and Corey could have easily lived until he was 8 years old. He stole over 70 years. I will never see my son again. I miss him and I love him so much. There are countless reasons Christopher deserves the maximum sentence. It shows how selfish and ignorant he is as a person. I beg you to not allow this injustice to continue, and he must face the full consequences of his actions. Thank you for allowing me to speak, Your Honor.
Thank you for your comments, ma'am. Ms. Linda.
Your Honor, the state would move for imposition of.
Okay. Yeah, so that's so heartbreaking because even after, because the judge gives the sentencing, we're not gonna watch the sentencing because the sentencing is really long. Well, not really long, but at least another 15-20 minutes, and he goes through the details on why he sentenced it and what he took into consideration and all this other stuff. So he basically upfront says he's not going to give him the full allowed amount because that hardly ever happens, blah, 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 blah. So he gave him the lesser of the amounts for both of them. Because I guess like one of them he could have done like 20 to life, so he just gave him the 20. He just gave him, the other one he gave him the minimum. I think it was like 5 to 10 or something like that. So he gave him the 5 years. Even after the fact that this young lady just stated that he's a very dangerous man and he shouldn't be let back out. So hopefully she continues to when he is eligible for parole and things like that, and hopefully she'll be there to persuade the board not to release him any earlier than the full 25 years that he's supposed to do. Um, again, like she said, like they had a history. They met very young. They they were in a custody battle, and it just seemed like he would use the kid just to make her upset. It was mainly all about her. Had nothing to do with the little boy. Unfortunately, the little boy is the one that um life was taken because it just wasn't his dad's priority um to keep him safe. So like even the mom said like he didn't have to be a father, you know what I mean, like he had just said I don't want this, good luck, wash his hands, see you in court kind of thing. But you know um unfortunately not everybody has you know when it comes to females, the females are always like child support, child support, whatever. I did it with my first one. Put him on child support, he never paid, kind of thing. And it's just like, why bother him if he doesn't want to pay? He doesn't want to pay. He doesn't want to be involved. He doesn't want to be involved. Like, why push somebody into being in somebody's life when they don't want to be? It's obviously going to mess up the child more than what it is. than with not having him in his life. So it's like in this case, she was right. All he had to say was like, "Hey, I don't want to be a dad. Like, you found somebody else. Like the other guy raised him, kind of thing, you know." But this was like his way of manipulating and controlling her and trying to keep basically, like she said, apparently he has so much hate for her, or maybe so much love that he couldn't love another person besides her, and that's including his son. So, I mean, this type of monster just needs to be put away, and just to know that there may be an opportunity to where he can get out and, like she said, go after her and her family. Like, apparently, he still blames her for a lot of these things that is going on instead of his own actions, and she keep trying to implement that in that letter. Like, hey, this is you did this. Like, you put your hands on our son. You took his life. Now you deserve to get consequences. Just like this is just like the case of Carmelo Anthony. Like, you took somebody's life. It wasn't self defense, regardless what you claim. Regardless that you're claiming that it's self defense, whatnot. But you still need to do some type of consequence. And so you see the two difference, like, in both cases one was still a kid. Like, they were both kids regardless. One was 17 and one was 6. Like, you take somebody's life, you need to do some time. I don't see this guy who got out on bond after taking somebody's life. The fact that it was a kid, yes, I understand, but so was Austin Metcalf. So these cases may be a little bit different, but they're pretty similar in a lot of ways. And for him to, um and I think he had, like, I think it was like 180 something days that he was in. He has, give me a second, guys. Okay, sorry guys, quick phone call. Of course, of course. Um, so yes, again, this is an unfortunate situation. Monsters like these should not get back out on the street. Like, you abused a little kid, and obviously there was history of it. So, I mean, this little boy was so adorable, and like she said, I mean, that must have been very sad that to have a little boy look up to his father, and then for his father to like completely disassociate him from his little boy and just, treat him with such vast disrespect. So yeah, so I mean, everybody was just on him. For a moment, he showed a little, he cried and he did apologize. Now, whether he truly meant it, I mean, it could have just been the narcissist mentality or what, but obviously, he is a very violent person and should not be back out on the street, amongst society. Just for the fact that, this can happen again. Um, and sending him to prison is probably just going to make it worse. He's probably going to come out just, 10 times as more angry than when he probably was back then, especially spending all that time in there trying to retaliate. People like this, obviously are very revengeful, and they will sit there and think of like millions of ways to try to get back. And I wouldn't be surprised while he's in there he figures out a way to get to the family. And if that's such Yes, yes. Sharolen Roque, yes, she was found in Florida. It was earlier today. I believe they said it was around 4 o'clock in the morning when she was found over there. So they issued the Amber Alert last night around 9:15. She's been missing for 2 days, mind you that. She's been missing since Tuesday. Um, was last I guess she's originally from the Dallas area, was last seen in Houston kind of thing, and then went on. Yes, I do hope she's okay. Now they're listing it as an endangered runaway, so I'm assuming maybe once they picked him up, she was probably questioned, probably had to answer a few questions on what was going on. And from what it seemed like, it just seemed like she voluntarily went with him. I'm just gonna There hasn't been many major details on it, like specific details, but just kind of going based off of you know um basic information. I'm so maybe not kidnapping, but still, yes. But I mean, he can be. I mean, that's a hard case because you gotta understand she is a minor and he wasn't. So that in itself is is kind of illegal. So I believe he was 20 and she's what, 15. So and welcome Rainbow Tasha. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Um, but yes, she may have voluntarily went with him, but still he is the adult and he should have known better not to take her. And then ended up being across state lines. So it can turn into a federal case. So that is going to be into question. That's going to be something we definitely want to keep up to date on to see what they're really charging. They're really going to charge him because yeah, you're 20 years old, you're taking a minor over states, and then that's a no-no. That's a big no-no. So I would think, I mean, then again, I mean, it's not going to be left up to the parents. So even if the parents don't press charges, like the state will. So yes, the Amber Alert signs were here in Texas because she is, I think, originally from Texas. I think in the Harris County area, somewhere between Dallas and San Antonio and things like that. So, and it was a black Mazda. They just didn't have like license plate information. Um, but yes, she left on Tuesday. She was last seen Wednesday, and the times kept changing. First, they said it was like 11 o'clock in the morning. Then it was 4 o'clock in the morning. It was 1 o'clock in the afternoon. But somehow she was last seen in Houston, and then the next thing you know, they send out the Amber Alert at 9:15 at night, and then 4 o'clock in the morning, ish or early this morning, she was located in Florida. So it seemed like as soon as they put out the Amber Alert, it seemed like once as soon as they put the Amber Alert out, they were able to build that attention to her, and it seemed like right after that they were able to locate her. Um, Again, they don't have any information on like why they went to Florida or whatever, but if I'm I'm guessing if they would have waited like another day or two before putting out the Amber Alert, they would have been gone. I think they would have been over in somewhere else because Florida's not the place to be. Like that is trafficking area. That is a whole bunch of crime area down there where anything could have happened to her from there. Like easy. So yeah, like I'm just glad. I just don't understand why they waited 2 days to put out the Amber Alert. I don't know if they thought she was just a runaway to begin with, or but even at that, it really shouldn't matter. I mean, you're underage, whether you run away or not, your butt needs to get sent back home. Yes, 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 yes. They're always selling flowers. And then they're usually um one, maybe like two, like they do sometimes have, but they're always like off to the side and they have their kids out in the middle of the street. And it's like, that makes no sense. Like, where's the logic in that? I mean, okay, you're trying to somehow manage to fund your whatever, your income, your rent, you're trying to find a way to make some type of income for your family, but that means you as the adult go and look for ways to make money for your family. Don't have your kids out there. And really, we don't really, and I get it. Some people do sympathize with the kids and they're like, oh, it's kids. Let's go ahead and buy these flowers, whatever, whatever. But at the same time, like, we're actually kind of encouraging that behavior. And that is not the behavior that we want to encourage, because it actually really is dangerous for these kids to be in the middle of the street trying to sell roses for their family when that should be the adults and the parents' job to do. So, yes, that is something. I seem like very young children. Yes, some, even like with their strollers, or they're having them in their little carry-on thing. But yes, they can. I've seen, yes, babies, sometimes infants who can't even walk yet with that. So yes, it is hard. And I don't know if anybody's like really ever gone up to them and said anything. I don't know if the like police officers ever go by and question them. And I know that's a hard job as an officer, to maintain the streets and to make sure, people are doing legal selling of things like flowers and things like that. But I know most of the times they don't stop and they don't check and they don't verify, which, you know, it's your job. At the same time, it's like, how many people do go out and when they have yard sales, go get the correct licenses to have a yard sale? So can you imagine every yard sale getting hit up by a cop? And how many would be against regulations? And when the officer knows it's a home, I've seen officers stop when they see homeless men out there. It's like, you're picking on the homeless man. Why don't you pick on the people who have their kids out in the middle of the street? And it's not picking on them, it's a safety concern. Like, you should be worried about the kids' safety. Yeah, and that's true too. We don't know who's really regulating them, and because sometimes these kind yeah, I would definitely not give them money. Like, I don't mean to be mean. I know there's people who are in need of money or whatever. It's like, go buy the meal and then give it to them or something. I wouldn't give them the money. But at the same time, when it comes to kids, I wouldn't even do it, because again, we are encouraging that behavior and we're telling them it's okay, and they see the money and then it only encourages to come back out the next day and then the next day and the next day. So there's other ways to help out the homeless and the things like that. And if they were truly homeless, there are places for them to go and to get the necessary help, especially if they have kids. They're going to be the first ones to get help. I'm telling you that right now. Women and children are always going to be the first ones to get help anywhere. So, and it's usually the man's responsibility to continue to live on the street and to provide for the family. But in this case, it's like, where's the dad? I mean, are these the people who are picking them up in the truck? Or is it really family, or are these just people who are hosting these families and getting money for them? Or, you know what I mean? Because these people really do get a lot of benefits from the government. So um, I wouldn't even be surprised that they're double dipping. You know, they're. I wouldn't be surprised if they're a Carmelo Anthony family living in a nice house and you know, setting up fundraising. You know, You know, plans and things like that. So it could all be a big old money grab too. So a lot of these people, I mean, unless you know they're truly homeless, you see them every day, and you know, me when I used to go downtown a lot, when I used to work downtown, I mean, that's homeless central down here in where I'm located at in Texas, and um it's just it's a bad. It looks like basically Skid Row. We have our own personal Skid Row here. And so but once you start routinely seeing these homeless on a day-to-day basis, regardless of how fearful you are of them or what can happen to you, um then you truly know that they're homeless. And then I can see, yes, go ahead, dollar here, hey bro, here's a soda, have a nice day, whatever, or water, something like that. But and there are some homeless who do have waters for sale and things like that. I mean, at least they are trying to better themselves than ask just straight up asking for money. At least they're trying to make some type of money, income, doing it the right way by selling you a water or whatever, or cutting your yard or something like that. But I wouldn't necessarily give them something for free all the time. It's okay, Rainbow. I tend to get off topic by myself. So, but um, but yes, Sharolen Roque was. I kind of got off topic. We did talk about a few things. It was Sharolen. It was the plane crash in San Diego this morning as well for at the military on military housing. So definitely prayers out to the military and their families out there in San Diego. And then it was the Corey and or the Christopher McGregor case with Corey as the victim. Prayers out to their family too, because mom needs to stay strong, and Christopher needs to stay behind bars. But thank you for everybody for being here. I am gonna go. Yes, there was a plane crash. It was in San Diego. So if you want to catch on the replay, we did talk about that. It was from what I'm not sure they put out anything new since I've read up on it and covered it. They were supposed to get more information out. I'm hoping by maybe by 5 o'clock they'll have more information out. But at least two people um, were killed, and there were about eight other injuries. But um, after that, I think other than that, everything is pretty much calmed down. They got the fires out. Somehow they, about 100 families, if not more, have been had to be misplaced out of their houses and currently looking for a place. So it's going to be a little rough for them for the next couple of days. Like I said, military is going to help them out. I know they've already had some organizations reach out to them, but yes, definitely want to definitely look into that, and just keep them in your prayers. Like I said, military members, they serve our country, they serve us. So we just need to make sure we return that and pray for them. Yes, and there has been so many plane crashes. But I am gonna go for now because my kids are getting ready to get out of school and I gotta go get them. So I will be back later. I'm gonna try to follow up on the plane crash to see if there's any new details since I last reported, and go from there. And I'm glad I was able to get some other cases out and kind of catch up on some of the things. So until then, if you have, again, if you would like to donate to Vivid Lifestyles, we help heal the wound of abuse. So this is why we kind of went back and to discuss the case of Corey. It kind of ties in with what I do. Also, this month, May 25th, which is Sunday, is National Missing Children's Day. And so this month, we Vivid Lifestyles did team up with National Center of Missing and Exploited Children. We are currently doing a fundraiser for them. So if you would like to donate to the National Center of Missing and Exploited Children, just go to the link space, the link below. It's the link space, Dish and T with D, and from there it'll take you to my webpage, and you can either donate to me or to the National Center of Missing and Exploited Children. If you just want to go directly to the National Center of Missing and Exploited Children, there is also that link in the description box. It's the Giving Missing Kids, GiveMissingKids.org, I believe. Let me put it back up on the screen real quick. Here we go. So you go there, and that is to that all the funds. If you go to that website, all the funds will go to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. And this year, I believe it's their 40th year. So thank you, John Wash, and since he is the one that is originally came as the founder of National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. So definitely want to do that. Again. If you have any information regarding a missing child, please report it to your local authorities. If you do not trust your local authorities, which some of you may not, and totally okay, please contact the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children at 1-800 The Lost. Again, that is 1-800-843-5678. Again, thank you for being here, and be safe, everybody. And don't forget, pinkies up.